Makes a mistake again. He missed the shift. He's going to spin to the inside turn. He's going to take the lead.
Eli Hinton just got used up there in the hairpin. He's going to pick up a win after a long winless streak and visit victory lane. And the whole field just needs to get himself slow down, hop these curves, up and over. There's that cannon, whether it's at line. Great restart here for the 2 car, but also for the 48. He crosses him over, down into turn 1, there goes the tail. Here comes the 20 alongside. The 13 car gets turned. He's going to spin in turn 2.
Richmond Raceway is a 3/4-mile D-shaped oval opened in 1946, known under several nicknames: America's premier short track, Strawberry Hill, and Action Track. Well, before tonight, I've never heard any of those nicknames. I do know that it's a short track, and without much question, short tracks are the best tracks. This place is rough and tumble, it's tight, it's fast, and requires the most of any equipment of almost any racetrack. Find the brakes hot at the end of the night, but you'll find drivers that much hotter after a night of bumping and banging in Virginia for race number 7 of 2019. Finian Richmond Raceway, 3/4 miles, hot brakes, hot tempers, a lot of bumping and banging. This is a fun place.
Andy, looking forward to some great action here. We saw intense action at the Richmond race for the Outsiders Racing League, which is the parent series for the series. So we saw some great action there in the Cup cars, but here tonight with the Xfinity cars. And we've seen the Xfinity cars here before with the Scars Stock Car Series. They were here with the Beat car, and that put on a pretty good show, so looking forward to that with the 17 car which we got here tonight.
Qualifying underway right now, about 2 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. Casey Licata is currently at the top of the board, but lots left to still qualify. Let's take a look at our point standing so far, Finian, but at the top of the board, Bailey Turner, and you mentioned prior to the broadcast that he's got an interesting string of stats going for him at the top of those point standings.
Yeah, this applies to both series because it makes it more interesting. He's leading both the Outsiders Racing League points and Virtual Racing League points, and has 5 second place finishes in both series this season. So very consistent up at the front, but probably would like to be a little bit more consistent further up the grid. He's definitely due for a win. And he's been fast, but just hasn't been able to finish it.
Well, a couple of our winners that are here, or they're not here tonight, are Eli Hinton, driving the number 13 Sim Motorsports car, absent this evening, as well as Liam Sheen, who no longer races here, Finian. But those two guys both have wins this season, and so does Jordan Ashland. And all those guys are buried down in the point standings. So up at the top of the standings, it's really a race for consistency. And Bailey Turner has done that so far. But also remember, a couple weeks ago, we heard for Outsiders, Bailey Turner had kind of a rough night after getting involved with Eli Hinton at 13, but no Eli tonight. So is it Bailey's time to get revenge around here and find himself in victory lane?
We'll see how his pace is, and we'll see if that reflects him. He still hasn't put down a qualifying time yet, but I mean, if he's got the pace, I definitely don't see why he can't get a win here.
And there he is right now in that number 24 Coca-Cola and Bass Pro Shop sponsored Chevrolet Camaro. And if we look on back, we saw Adam Cabot already qualified the number 77, also one of our race winners from Indianapolis earlier this season. But also, Elliot Butler is currently your pole sitter, and he is going to be our in-race reporter tonight, so we'll talk to him later this evening if the cautions allow. Jeff Wright in the number 5 out on course in the Crest Camaro, and he's locking those tires up. Looks like he's going to try again. William Troy starting his lap right now in that number 87.
Yeah, so most of the grid qualified, and Bailey Turner's put his time down 10th of the 24 so far. He's still got a second lap to put in.
Coming back around now to complete his second lap, and he'll probably pick up. I imagine you probably need 2 laps here to really get all you can out of the tires. They'll come across the line, and he was at 21.125. Where is he this time? Oh, that was his best lap, 21.125. So that looks like that'll be where Bailey Turner is. Not a great qualifying effort for the 24.
Yeah, and he might be put down the order. Still, we got a few more guys left to qualify, notably Alec Martinez, Jeff Wright, there's still, and Richard Ortega. They still haven't put a lap in, and they might overtake Bailey Turner. So Turner can still fall down outside the top 10 as far as the starting position is concerned.
Another one to keep an eye on is Mark Emerson in the number 22 racing tonight in that vehicle, as Eric Hutton will be doing race control.
Yeah, and also Jeff Wright just jumped up to the pole position for now as we got 7 seconds left.
Yeah, it looks like no one else is going to lap, and it's only 12 of our 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 starters are going to put a lap in. That means Jeff Wright is going to be on the pole alongside in-race reporter Elliott Butler here at Richmond. 135 laps of the D-shaped oval, and Vinny, and that's not a... well, actually, it is a pretty short race. About 47 minutes if we were to go green from start to finish, but how likely is that here tonight with a short track like this?
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to have a few cautions. I think that's just the nature of short tracks. You put so many cars, cars on a pretty short track.
Nice. for lack of a better term.
Yeah. And everyone's so close together. You know, at bigger tracks, you typically get separated by a bit, but at smaller and smaller tracks, everyone's a lot closer together. So typically, cautions end up coming from situations like that. So I think we're going to just naturally expect some cautions.
Let's take a look at our starting lineup here tonight. On the front row, it's going to be Jeff Wright, the number 5, alongside Elliott Butler, who's our in-race reporter. Both of those cars and those drivers in Chevrolet Camaros. They'll be starting on the front row alongside each other. Qualifying going to be important here, but Finian, road number 2.
Yeah, Mark Emerson's going to be starting on the inside. We saw that he's racing here tonight. Casey Lakatos in the 50. He's going to be starting on the outside after a great qualifying effort.
A good effort for the 50. He's been improving each and every week. Adam Cabot, winner from Indianapolis, starting 5th alongside Angelo Ronis in the number 12 car in that Ford Mustang, the Discount Tire Machine.
We got Jeremiah Vincent in the 8 car in 7th place. Outside of him, the 14, Richard Thomas, will be starting in outside of him.
Wait till you see the number 8. He's running a Wrangler scheme, a throwback to Earnhardt, and man, is it pretty. 9th and 10th, Robert Gaba in the number 75 Chevrolet Camaro, and Mark Carr in the number 9 machine, the Stilts car, and that is a gorgeous looking paint scheme as well. So good livery on the number 9. That 75 got the Chicago Bears on the hood of that thing, and we let the rest of it scroll on the bottom of your screen. But you mentioned Bailey Turner, not a great qualifying effort there, but I said it earlier that qualifying is important, but do you think you can win from the rear here? I feel like you probably could.
Oh, yeah, I think you definitely can. Again, a relatively small field here, too, so he's going to be starting, I think 12th was the starting position, so
11th.
Or 11th, yeah. So yeah, I think he can definitely move up from that. If he was further on back, I would say it would be a little bit less likely, but all he needs is a few cautions here and there in the right place, and he should be able to move up some spots.
Bruce Boyer, the number 20, that's hard to get used to, Finny. We're not used to seeing in that number 20 car, but he is going to be starting towards the rear, as well as Reggie Ortega, and Alan Martinez didn't qualify either, so I'm curious to see how he climbs his way up through the field. Now remember, tomorrow, actually last week we had Michigan races Friday and Saturday. This week it's Richmond tonight and the Indianapolis Road Course tomorrow for the Cup Series. And Finian, I am really excited for that one. Shifting, slamming through the gears on the brakes. That's going to be a one to watch tomorrow night, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we roll off on our pace lap. And looks like we'll have 17 starters for this event here this evening. And 2 pace laps to set the grid tonight. Let's take a look at our weather conditions this evening. 80 degrees on the track, 79 in the air. Gorgeous night for racing, mostly cloudy. It's going to be fast and grippy, but I also keep an eye on the brakes. We've seen in the past here in the Cup Series, some drivers would wear those things out, and some drivers would hardly touch them, and it really depends on how you're driving the car here, especially going down into turn number 3. You're going to be leaning on that brake pedal.
Yeah, and we're going to keep an eye on people's brake usage, because it definitely varies, especially depending on people's driving style.
Be right there, the start-finish line at the bottom of that graphic, the light blue tick mark, is actually a little bit before the apex of that oval straightaway. And then there's that sector mark there on the back straightaway, which is pretty much useless here and no longer have any overtime line to worry about. So, but 721 miles as Everett TV, about 0.75 as measured by NASCAR. 4 turns, pretty straightforward here, Finian, but the back straightaway seems really short in comparison to the front straight. So your passing opportunities, I mean, you're really going to have to be creative setting them up here tonight.
Yeah, I think we're going to see guys get creative, especially as the tires start to wear out and guys start looking elsewhere on the track for grip. We're going to see some of the guys who are better at pacing themselves rise up to the top.
135 laps here in Richmond, Virginia. Jeff Wright alongside Elliott Butler. Green flag flies, and we're racing in Virginia.
Great start by Jeff Wright as per usual. Mark Emerson now racing with Butler down into turn 1.
And Emerson, it looks like he's going to pull alongside the 6 and should have this spot here in the fresh tires. The inside's going to be the place to be. He clears him out of turn 2. Side by side on the back straight. There's Cabot on the inside of the number 50, Lakatos, and a gorgeous looking. That's another Earnhardt throwback, that Budweiser machine. I think it's an Earnhardt throwback. Maybe
It's a throwback.
It's a throwback of some sort. I'm too young for this. Down into turn number 1 to complete lap 1. It looks like the 75 of Gaba's up out of the groove. He's going to lose a spot to Bailey Turner, who's now 8th. So he's moved up a couple spots already. And there's Jeremiah Vincent in that Wrangler machine we mentioned earlier, all over the back of Casey Lakatos for 5th.
Yeah, and everyone already single file out, just trying to get in a groove. But Bailey Turner, as we saw, already up to 8, so moved up 3 positions since the start. We're only on coming to lap 3.
Towards the rear of the field, Brian Chambliss and William Troy battling for 16th of the 18 drivers on racetrack at the moment. But out in front, it's Jeff Wright. He's begun to extend a lead about a half a second over Mark Emerson, and looks like he's been quicker every one of the last few laps, so he's beginning to stretch that lead out. Bailey Turner looks for 7th on the inside of Ronas down in turn 1. He's on the move.
Yeah, he went hard into the brakes there, trying to get to the inside, really sent it into the corner. He's going to be side by side with Ronas this time by. I think Ronas might let him on through. I think he realized that 24 is faster.
I'm starting to think that Bailey Turner just messed up his qualifying laps, and he's got a lot more speed than it originally looked like he had in that car. So moves up to 7th, and now will set his sights on 6th place Jeremiah Vincent. As behind him, look at this. Battle for 9th place, Richard Thomas, Gaba, and Boyer. You can throw Reggie Ortega in there.
Very close to Ortega all over the back bump at the 20. Here he comes looking to the inside, backs off of it actually. He's head up into 3.
20 left in spacers, Ben Baffert in the number 23, and Alec Martinez started at the rear of the field. Owen said he processed to climb your way forward, but patience is going to be the key if you want to have a bumper on the end of this car at the end of the night. And the 23 dives to the inside of the 2, and Ortega's going to give him space, but not enough for 23 to get there. And now he's under attack from Martinez, but I think Martinez is going to wait for a while just to get settled in. No changes up front as we watch this battle for 10th place.
And here comes Ortega to the inside of Gaba. He's going to send it to the corner there. Gaba trying to make that high line work. I think it's a little bit too early for that, and even then, I think that's still too high.
Well, we probably will see the high line come in later in the night. It's a decently long race to let some rubber get laid down, so we might see that outside lane get used later. But for now, probably not the place to be on tires this fresh. But now Gaba under attack from backward in the 23. Up front, still a 7/10 of a second lead for Wright, and continues to extend that lead as we make our way into the meat of this race. Lap 8 of 135. Backward clears the 75, and Martinez gets that hole open for him down into turn 3. And behind him, Chambliss and Troy not giving each other a ton of room, and they had to spread out and not make contact there.
Ooh, Gaba had to get off the gas there, almost hit the wall, and now here comes Chambliss and Troy in behind him. So 3-way battle now for the position.
Wow, the 75 really dove down into turn number 1. Hard on the binders, and now the 21's going to cross up the 87 on corner exit and use that momentum down the back straightaway. He'll take a look. Not quite to the quarter panel, though. And now he gets there, and some contact between the 21 and 87. And Troy throttled up to avoid getting turned, and that was a great defensive move there. But Carr takes a look to the inside of the 21 and will get that spot.
Chambliss got into the quarter panel of the 87, and he gets now trying to get it back underway. Ooh, Troy missed the corner. Something just went really high, lost 2 spots there, and potentially a 3rd one. We got a trail in behind him.
Trejo not off to a great start here, started at the rear and hasn't been able to make up any spots, but he smells blood in the water with the 87 slipping down in turn number 2. But on the other end of the racetrack, they'll come down and take a look at it as we have a battle up towards the front. Casey Lacanis all over Adam Cabot for 4th, and then just behind them, that's the 8 of Vincent and Bailey Turner, who started 11th, up to 7th.
He's up to 7th and still moving forward, no sign of slowing down just yet. He's caught up to Jeremiah Vincent in the 8 car. We'll see what he can do in that beautiful 8 Wrangler.
Close quarters there as they exit turn number 2 and on the back straightaway. And interesting to note, Finian, how close everyone from 2nd on back is as Jeff Wright extends his lead now to almost a 2nd. So,
ooh, Turner, ooh, he's a little bit loose there, clipped the apron, and he's really forcing the issue here.
Driving hard early, I think the track position's going to be worth it. This race could go green for a long time, so once the field gets spread out, passing is going to be a lot more difficult. So he's being aggressive while he can be. There's Elliott Butler. He's getting pressure from the number 77 of Cabot as he tries to get that highlighter yellow nose underneath him in turn 4.
Yeah, and it's hard to because Butler's not giving him a lot of space there, but he's still going to pry. There he goes, looks up the inside, and Butler's going to give him some space here.
And off of turn 2, it's going to be tight as Cabot slips up, and he's going to get re-cleared by the 6 on quarter exit, and that's where the high side's going to be effective. And maybe not passing cars, but especially as a defensive move, it's going to be really difficult to get underneath somebody and complete a pass down there. Unless you move them, of course. That'll come with it. These 3 are getting pretty close. Lacanis, Vincent, and Turner out of turn 2. You can throw a blanket over these guys. As Ronas is just waiting in the wings in case anything happens, but this is your tightest battle on the racetrack at the moment.
Pretty close battle up in the front, but not the entirety of the front as Wright's.
Oh boy. Look at Turner. He's looking to the inside. Oh, the 77 really loose out of turn 2. Slipped and slide all over the racetrack down to the inside, and he's going to be under attack from the 50 Lacatis if he gets a good run in turn 4. Looks like he will. And as quickly as Cabot was pressuring the 6, now he's getting pressure from the 50.
Yeah, you know, you can see him cut off the nose there of the 8, and something ugly can happen here if these guys aren't careful. But yeah, it looks like Cabot's starting to slip up just a little bit, and Lakatos is trying to take advantage.
Boyer and Richard Thomas were going at it for 9th, but it has calmed down for the moment, so let's jump back up to this fight for 4th. And Cabot slipping and sliding, drifting out of turn 4, almost full opposite luck as he just power slid out of turn 4, and now he's under attack. And it looks like the 50's going to get this spot away.
And if he's not careful, he can still, the tires are still pretty hot now, so he's got to focus on getting them cooled down. You see Butler to the inside, Emerson, fight for 2nd place.
Behind them as they fight this battle now, it's 4 cars.
Oh, Jeremiah's going to make it 3 wide. Here they go into turn 1. Who's going to give way?
Oh no! The 50's going to get turned in front of the field.
Oh, he saves it. Wow.
And he's going to almost come to a complete stop. And that was an aggressive move that just didn't quite work out, did it? Take a look back at what caused that. I'm pretty sure we know 3 wide situation down into turn 1 this early, Finian, necessary move?
Maybe, but not that low. I mean, there's no way that Vincent was making the corner at that angle. Yeah, he's all the way there to the yellow line, and still trying to make it to the inside, yeah.
Just couldn't quite get it wound up. I'm sure there'll probably be a over-the-radio apology for that, so we'll continue on. How about this fight now? Lakatos is all the way back to 10th. A bad break for him early in the going. He's got some pretty heavy left rear damage,
yeah,
too.
That wheel's exposed in the air there, too, and I can imagine maybe a little bit of handling.
I wouldn't be so concerned about the aerodynamics, but certainly the suspension components could be bent, so I would be concerned about that. Ortega and Bafford, they got blood in the water that they're smelling now. They're going to try to attack him while he's weak. Towards the front, though, Emerson and Butler, they've been fighting for 2nd for the last couple laps. I think Butler's patience is running out as he's leading on him through turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, he's being very aggressive there. He's going to get a run off the corner and into turn 3. See Butler out breaking Emerson, trying to pass him on the inside, but Emerson's just going to gas it up here and pinch him to the inside.
And Butler's going to try to pinch him to the outside as they make their way out of turn 4, but he leaves him enough room. They should have him here as long as he can get down into turn 1 just as good as he did turn 3 before. And Emerson slipped up the racetrack, and Butler's now going to turn down on exit, and they're going to still be side by side into turn 2.
Yeah, great fight here, but the guy who's loving this fight right now is Jeff Wright, as he's still breaking away right now. 1.7 second lead back to 2nd place.
And Jeff Wright is just in another zip code here tonight. And 23 laps in, he's got a 2-second lead over the field, but the battle right now is for 2nd place, and Butler's been working over Emerson for several laps, but the 22 is just not giving up just yet.
Yeah, he's still getting great runs off the corner there. You see Butler just trying to defend from him, but there's not much he can do other than trying to pass him here on entry. Will he be able to do it? He's got him for now. He's got to block that run, though.
He does, and move Butler up to P2 as behind them, Adam Cabot and Bailey Turner. And Turner, remember, he started 11th, so he's our biggest mover by a long margin today.
Yeah, we've seen Cabot also struggle, so I wouldn't be too surprised if the 24 finds a way around the 77.
I was going to say those taillight decals missing will probably make this more typical, but it wouldn't help a whole lot if they were on the car either. Oh, I saw some smoke out of turn.
Yeah, someone's internet not cooperating with them.
Oh, Cabot really hard off into turn number 1 and slid on entry. That'll let Turner get him, but Cabot's going to try to cross him over. He does. He'll have a good run down the back straight.
Interesting. I thought that Cabot was just going to give it to him, but here he is with a switchback on the inside.
Now, he might have learned something right there. I mean, whether or not that was an intentional, how hard he drove off into turn 1, you can get a spectacular run by cutting that corner so low on the exit. So maybe he learned something about a crossover he could employ later, but it doesn't really seem like the bottom's the place to be unless you really have a good car.
Yeah, we'll see if Turner's able to get around him. Cabot's holding a good line down there and has been able to nail off the runs off the corner.
Slipping, he's just working those rear tires. I think I worry about his rear tires being more or hotter than everyone else's. The way he's been driving this car tonight, he's been hanging that thing out.
Yeah, that's the only reason I don't think that's the only reason I think he's gonna struggle on that inside line. Because we see him sliding around there, and he needs the grip. But if he's sliding, he's gonna lose that grip and lose momentum off the corner.
Yeah, again, I think he's really in a losing position now.
I mean,
Turner leads that.
Although I will say, I am surprised that he's still holding pretty much nose to nose with the 24, and actually, you think he might clear him here.
Yeah, Turner's going to cross him over there on corner exit, and he does. And now with the 77 slips on corner exit, we have a pass behind him going on as well, and it looks like Vincent's going to back out. But it looks like Turner. Now they just swap positions at this point.
And I'm curious, is Turner going to be stronger on the inside, or if they were stronger the other way around? There you see Bailey taking a tighter line to the inside of the corner.
He drove in there pretty hard, though.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to clear the 77 because I think he knows if he does that...
He should be able to do it right here as long as he drives in deep. But the 77 drove in deeper. He's still got a quarter panel there, but now the 24 is going to clear him. He'll slide up on corner exit, move Turner up to 4th. 7 spots climbed for Turner in the early going here at Richmond.
Yeah, and are currently up into 4th place, and still look, he's reeling on Emerson, who's kind of dropped off the pace here ever since Butler got around him.
There is your lead pack right now. Alex Martinez still stuck in 13th. Not a whole lot of forward progress for him. No caution so far tonight. 32 laps in. And most of the battling has been towards the front of the field, but Jeff Wright has just taken off now 2.6 seconds up the road. I think Vincent and Ronis are trading spots behind, and there they are. Ride.
Yeah. I'm not sure who's the one passing here, but
the 8th car is on the attack.
Okay, so yeah, so Ronis is slowly falling back a little bit, and Vincent trying to move up.
William Troy retired here early. Didn't see what happened to him, but I'm going to assume maybe some wall contact that put him out of his race.
Possibly, and you see Vincent trying to work to the inside of Ronis, but can't get the move done.
He's already got blood on his hands tonight. That right front fender tells you all you need to know, and it'd be too early to make enemies, so he's got to be a bit more careful for the next 100 laps or so.
Yeah, I was gonna say also you even just worrying about his own car, because he got off really lucky without any damage, but he could have been a lot worse for his car.
Big battle up here for 3rd place.
And Emerson's the one whose internet's been flashing out.
Yep, and Bailey Turner and Adam Cabot now are just all over him as, Emerson's really slow out of turn 4, and Turner is on a charge, and maybe this is the night he rebounds and gets his first victory of the season.
Well, the night is still young here, and we still get to get a caution to really kind of bunch these guys back up, because he's currently facing a 3.8 deficit back to the leader.
I could see this race going green all the way, though.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, the way these guys are going at it, although we did get very close a few times, but really the field's only going to spread out more from here on out. So.
There is your leader, Jeff Wright. He's now has a 3-second lead. There is 2nd place Butler, then Turner, Emerson, Cabot, and there's Vincent, Ronis, Boyer, Otis, Reggie Ortega, your top 10. See the line on the racetrack moving up, Finian. Slowly but surely, the track getting some color in that bottom lane. Definitely darkening. And you might see drivers slide up the racetrack and find some grip.
Yeah, I think especially now it's critical too, because the first guys who can figure out which lane's better. The Emerson running a little bit higher, trying to find some speed, because he's been losing quite a bit here in the second half of this run.
Right on the yellow line. Look at Cabot hold that apron there. And that's a couple different ways you can run this racetrack, and sticking right against that yellow line is the way to do it. One of the ways to do it. Then try to get underneath Emerson again. Trying to fit in the hole. Couldn't quite get there.
Full close there, and Cabot backed out of it.
At 38 of 135, so under 100 laps to go, about 35 minutes of racing remaining. Not a whole lot of time left. That's not a long race left in tonight. There's Ronis and Boyer, and Ronis has begun to drop down through the field as he started in 6th place, and now he's lost 2 spots back to 8th.
Because although I'm looking at lap times right now, Turner's actually running on Jeff Wright's pace.
Exactly, and, only separated by a couple thousandths.
Yeah, and is actually a 10th faster than Bailey Turner. And I'll check it again next time as he come past the line. Actually run a little bit slower, but still faster than Butler.
I did notice that Alec Martinez climbed up a couple spots. He's up to 11th, and while his progress hasn't been as phenomenal as Bailey Turner's, I'd still put him in the ones to watch if he could get a caution and maybe get some more track results.
I think it's going to be key for a lot of these guys, especially the guys moving up through the spots. And speaking of which, here comes Bailey Turner, trying to catch Elliott Butler out of him.
Now, the question is, does Jeff Wright have to worry about that 24 later in the evening?
It's kind of hard to tell. I honestly don't think so, because that gap's going to be a pretty big deficit to make up for, but I mean, it's always a possibility.
Leader Jeff Wright working through lap traffic already tonight, lap number 42. I have to start thinking about pit stops relatively soon, the next 20-30 laps. So what's the strategy here if you're Bailey Turner? I would say you probably want to try an overcut here. I would think you could probably do this on... Probably do it on one stop, I would think.
Oh yeah, I think some guys might try to shoot for the one stop if they can't make it all the way.
I would assume it would be between 60 and 70, or 60 to 80 laps. It means that it's kind of either or. I mean, close.
Yeah. So let's see if they were to do so. If they can't make it, I think a lot of guys would start pitting now. If they were to do 2 stops. But if they don't pit now, I think that's kind of almost confirmation that they're going to try to do one stop.
Oh boy, here's a fight for 11th. Al Martinez got some right front damage, and it's not insignificant, Finian. So he's been in defense. Now that's the 14 of Richard Thomas, and Ben Baffert in the 23 are all attacking him now. And Alex's last lap was okay, so he's had it for a couple laps, I believe. 14 on the apron out of turn.
Comes back for now looking at the inside of the 14. Not entirely clear just yet.
Oh, he's going to try to clear, and then out of turn 4 almost runs him into the fence, but doesn't. And he'll get the spot, though.
He'll continue fighting with Alex Martinez.
Fight for 8th place. That's Lakatos and Aronis. Remember, Lakatos, that Budweiser beer can's a little dented there on the left rear quarter panel.
Yeah, I believe was able to get around Ronis.
Yeah, he fell back to 10th at one point, so he's flying his way back through.
Nice to see him, though, still making some progress with the damaged car.
Still putting pressure on Elliott Butler. I think right now, as of last lap, he was the quickest car in the field, and Bill Wright's dealing with some traffic, but next couple laps should be a pretty good indicator of the speed of the 24.
I've been noticing he's been entering a lot lower than Butler in turn 1. And no, he seemed to get the run off the corner, almost gets the quarter panel of the 6S back off. But yeah, he's been entering the corner a lot lower than Butler. Pretty much every corner actually now.
5 on the leaderboard there. He is your leader. It's about 3.5 seconds. It's about half a straightaway here at Richmond, Virginia. The 6 is kind of arcing that corner in deeper. Alec Martinez slow fitting. Looks like he's coming to pit road.
Oh, I think that's from damage. He's got some big damage.
He's got more damage, a lot of damage.
That right front.
I would say that he's probably been in the fence again. Take a look and see. I don't know, maybe this is what he had before he decided to do a different angle. Yeah, I think he's had this for a couple laps.
Interesting.
So Martinez down on pit lane. He's going to go a lap down in the process, but maybe making this a 2-stopper, I would assume.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye and see if anyone else comes down, because I was doing the math to make it on one stop. They need to make it to around lap 67, 68 to go on one stop. So would have to go to halfway there on one tank.
Putting pressure to the inside out of turn 2, lap number 50, closing in on halfway, like you said, the next 20 or so laps. Turner's going to finally get the nose to the inside, but he's going to have to work a lot harder than that to get alongside to be able to clear.
I'm kind of curious what Turner's going to do here, if he's going to try to get around the 6, or maybe because he used up a lot of his tires trying to catch up to him, maybe just sit behind and wait for pit stop.
Well, if he used the stuff up already, then everyone else is in trouble, because he's still running lap times on par with the leader. Still second fastest car on track. So if his stuff is used up, everyone else is going to be worried.
Because it looks like he's kind of struggling to get around Butler at the moment, so if he can just kind of wait for pit stop to cycle through. He'll lose time to Jeff Wright overall, but I think would probably benefit him to try to do an undercut to get around the 6 on pit road.
Looks like Alec Martinez took a 14.9 second stop, so just came down for tires, and fuel didn't really bother to fix much, if any, of that damage. I see another car on pit road, I believe, and I'm just going crazy.
We're just going through.
Okay, maybe it's left pit sign. Jeff Wright's lead is kind of stagnated here, though. I know he's been working through traffic, but it hasn't really increased from 3.5 seconds the last 10 or so laps. He's just, and when you're out front like this, you're just getting yourself, this is a rhythm track. I mean, you set yourself up. Let's ride on board here for a lap and just watch how smooth he is.
All you need is just smooth input, smooth movements to make sure you don't wear out the tires. You see him running right up against that wall here, maximizing the corner entry.
So smooth. He's gotten himself into a rhythm, and he's just checked out 3.5 seconds. But Butler did take a chunk out of that the last time through, but again, he's still dealing with some lap traffic up here that Butler and Turner have not quite gotten to yet, so that could explain the disparity there. That was fitting and bumping into the microphone. Turner's still lapping quicker than Butler. He's just trapped behind him. I think once he can get clear, I think he'll take off. But now the question is, when you start leaning on him, is it too early? I mean, when do you apply that pressure? I mean, we saw earlier the 8 car of Jeremiah Vincent was not afraid to apply the pressure, whether it was intentional or not.
Ooh,
but
Butler loose off the corner.
Turner's got to maybe start leaning on this bumper if he wants to catch back up to the leader. I mean, remember, once we pit, we're at about 25 minutes, maybe 20 minutes of racing left to go. So you got to go when you can.
I mean, I don't know. I think, he could definitely use a bumper, but I feel like that might come back to haunt him later. So has to be careful his options. We're gonna he's gonna probably pit within new. You see,
Hello, Alec Martinez.
yeah, Martinez there on fresher tires, getting around with these guys. But yeah, you're gonna pit within 10 laps, 8 laps. So I mean, I think you might just wait for the pit stops, come on down, get some tires passing that way. As you see, actually, there's Angelo Ronas coming down the pit road, a little bit early for his stop.
Early for his stop if he intends to make it on one stop, but again, we don't really know the exact fuel mileage of these cars with this situation tonight, so he could probably go longer than he has.
Oh yeah, I definitely think he can, but it's gonna hurt him in the long run, but it's definitely gonna pull off the undercut here.
Give something a try, and Reggie Ortega coming on down. It's been kind of an unremarkable night for the two cars so far. Started towards the rear, only got as high as 9th. You see Ben Baffert following him down, so Reggie Ortega he won on the short track at Martinsville in the Cup Series a few months ago. But, so far tonight has not shown that short track prowess that we expected to see. So still ways to go, but Ortega probably need a yellow to be competitive for the win.
Yeah, I think that can go for a lot of guys really just needing a yellow. Is Turner coming down? Oh, look like he might, but he's going to continue on the track, still pursuing Butler.
So lap 61, he said we needed to go to lap 67, 68.
Yeah.
Make halfway. I'm fairly confident we could probably get close. We've only seen a couple cars come down pit lane so far.
Oh, here comes Turner with a run on Butler. Butler loose off the 2.
Yeah, 24 really threw it down in there, but he had to commit and he didn't quite.
Butler in the.
Oh, he's in the fence out of turn 4.
Yeah.
And Turner will use that opportunity to clear him, and just like that, Turner can now set his sights on leader Jeff Wright, 3.5 seconds up the road. We'll watch that gap now before they come to pit road, and I think when Turner pits is entirely dependent on what the leader does here. I mean, you want to follow that leader down to not let him get a big advantage on you. Or you could stay out a long time if you can.
And also he has to keep an eye on Butler too, because if Butler pits, he has to come in at least the next lap in, because otherwise Butler's going to overtake him.
Yeah, we're about what are we doing? It's about 1.5 seconds off of our best lap pace here. So until Bailey Turner's about 1.5 seconds in front of Butler, he's got to be with them as soon as he can. So Butler did lose some track position there, but he gained some an advantage strategically, I think, at this point. We'll see how Butler plays it.
Yeah, also catching some lap traffic up here.
And everyone taking different lines.
Trail getting out of the way there, trying to involve himself.
Wiggling and wobbling on the back straight there, and Butler's going to dive to the inside. No other pit stops since the few that we saw with Martinez, Ronas, Ortega, and Baffert earlier.
I think right about now we're going to start to see quite a few people down on pit road.
I'd say the next 2 or 3 laps, right at halfway. I think they'll split it right down the middle if they can. Chris Cavity's lost some ground since he got past earlier in the night.
Yeah, it's still hung in there pretty well with these two guys, especially navigating through the traffic. So he's definitely within this here. I'm curious if he'll try to undercut, or maybe you do an overcut, pull some strategy on that 77.
Well, Moronis using those new tires as much as he can. The inside of Cabot, 77. Check back out front. Jeff Wright leads by 3.3 seconds, fans. That gap is falling. Bailey Turner is eating into that lead. And we mentioned how Turner, he hasn't won a race yet this season, has he? So he's been second enough times.
And I'm sure he doesn't want to finish where he is right now, because that'll
here he comes.
Here he comes down on pit road.
Oh, Butler tried to make it in, and he does. Great job. Really, Butler to just sneak in and gain some ground back on the 24. Yeah, excellent strategy call there.
Yeah, what I am curious though is, did he speed doing so? I don't think he did, but
I don't think he did. It was close.
Might be close, so we'll keep an eye on him. But yeah, as I was saying before, Turner came down to pit road. If he finishes where he was running right there before the pit stops happened,
ooh, got some damage. Was this reset?
Might be.
I don't remember seeing this a couple laps ago. Let's see if we can quickly just jump back and see. Here it is. Okay, this is about 3 laps ago. Following Alec Martinez, and this is coming out of turn number 2. He just misjudged this here. Yes, he does. Just ran into the wall. Not a hard contact there.
Yeah, but I'm surprised that he made the mistake. He doesn't seem like he should be making those kind of mistakes. They're hitting the wall in straightaway like that.
Well, yeah, I think at this point it's almost like tunnel vision. You're so focused on just driving the car that you kind of forget where you are in the racetrack. And just a slight miscalculation there out of turn 2, and he's got some damage. Shouldn't affect him a whole lot. I think it looks a lot worse than it actually is, but he returns to the racetrack. Whereas Bailey Turner right here, so he did lose some ground because he pitted a lap later.
Yeah, and remember, we were seeing that Turner was still faster through everything. He was still faster on the later part of that run. So this is going to be interesting here in the second half of this race.
So we're past halfway now, and everyone that has just pit is good to the end on fuel. From here, we've had no cautions so far. We've had no lead, or one lead change that was under green flag pit stop conditions, so no actual changes on the racetrack.
Yeah, and what I was saying again before I was cut off by us finding out that Wright got on the wall, if Turner finishes in second again, it'll be 6th of both seasons for VRL and ORL. So I'm sure he would be very sick of it if he finishes in second again.
I'm sure he's not looking forward to that will be the case tonight. So lap number 72, Jeff Wright leads this race. Got a couple stragglers waiting for hopefully a yellow to help them on this pit sequence. Vincent, Lakatis, Carr, and Richard Thomas, the top 4, still have yet to pit, as is Brian Chambliss in the 21. But he's lost some spots already, so he's going to go another lap.
I'm surprised that Vincent and Lakatis have elected to stay out, because they both have pretty good running cars as far as track position is concerned. I feel like this is going to kind of hurt them more than help them than anything. I know they are staying out there for the caution, but really at this point, considering the way this race has been going, I doubt we're going to get that caution.
Well, I think right about halfway is a pretty good time to do a SimTV sound surge. Haley Turner has reeled in leader Jeff Wright down to 1.5 seconds. Remember, the gap was over 3.5 seconds prior to the pit stop sequence. But Casey Lakatis remains on the racetrack, hoping and praying for a yellow flag. Finian, and I don't think he's going to get it based on what's been going on so far tonight.
Yeah, no, I think he's kind of shooting himself in the foot at this point, because I think that car really actually looks like it's on the wall on the right side of that car, dented a little bit. But yeah, I think he's going to be put back quite a few spots here, because we've seen that it doesn't matter just one lap difference on the tires as far as pitting, making up track position. I think it's going to really hurt him here. He's gone 81 laps on these tires.
A lot of drivers with right side damage, Finney, but only car-to-car contact was earlier between the 8 and the 50, and here they are again, found each other on the racetrack, though in very different circumstances at the moment.
And Wright actually, the lead, Wright is only 3 seconds behind Casey Lakatis, and if he gets around him, which he definitely should, he'll resume his lead. Actually, there comes Lakatis down on pit road.
Casey Lakatis abandons the lead to come down for tires to fuel about 82 laps worth of fuel on board that car. At least it looks like there is one driver still left on the racetrack that has not pit yet. That's Brian Chambliss in the 21. Lap 83 of 135. Xfinity, we're a lot closer to the end of this than you might think. 18 minutes. It's 11:10 here on the East Coast. That's going to mean, what are we thinking, 11:28 is about the time when this race will end. So not a whole long time away, but Bailey Turner, you mentioned under the sound surge, Finian, that you don't think that that gap between him and Wright is going to drop a lot right now, but later in the run, Turner should be able to eat into that lead. Yeah,
because you saw again, not an entirely accurate measurement, but I mean, we saw that Turner was starting to take out chunks towards the end of that run over Wright once he got past Elliott Butler. So, and it's kind of we'll have to see here, because remember, Turner was pushing his car in the first part of the race, trying to just get through traffic. Here he is with relatively clean air straight towards Wright, so he's kind of maintaining the gap right now, which is definitely a good thing, and then we expect him to close in towards the later part of this race.
Jeff Wright, number 5. Let's do a little rundown on his season so far tonight. And I think he's been a lot more successful on the Outsider Racing League Cup Series side of things, with a victory over at Sonoma early in the season. And I think, does he have 2 wins now at this point? I believe he either has 2 wins or the one at Sonoma and some other really good finishes. But he's been mad consistent in the Outsider Racing League. In terms of the Xfinity stuff, we haven't really seen him up here this dominant yet this season, but currently running the lead now 1.45 seconds in front of Bailey Turner. And Finian's looking up data for me. My Larry Mack over there. My Larry Mack is a much slower version of the real Larry Mack. He doesn't have near a cutest accent either. 1 win. Okay, so just Sonoma. How about 3rd place, though? Elliott Butler and Adam Cabot. Cabot's found some pace back in that car and is challenging that 6 car for 3rd at the moment.
Butler's kind of fallen off the wall.
Whoa!
I think
That was close.
I think he might have gotten the wall there or gotten very close to it. Cabot get her on around, but yeah, Butler's starting to fall off the pace here. And we've seen Cabot struggle in the early part of the run, maintaining his tires. We'll see if he can do better this time around. As he tries to send into the corner on the high side, Butler going to dive in low.
Side by side on the backstretch for 3rd. Cabot should have this spot here, and he does, but can the 6 dive underneath and try to maintain? I just don't know if the 6 can hold on to this here.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think he's going to fall back here, and here you see Cabot get a nice run, and he's going to clear him there and secure 3rd place.
It's on him rocketing off into the corners like that. Beginning to stretch that gap easily, but how about Jeff Wright and Bailey Turner, Finian? 1.3 seconds. That gap is starting to fall, and now Wright's navigating lap traffic, which last time was his real Achilles heel later in the run.
And he's actually, they seem looking to the outside of Reggie Ortega. Can't get around him just yet, and see Turner there coming off the wall.
That was Alec Martinez who took a big hit into the fence. And that time Bailey Turner gained a bunch of ground. Now he's up to, or he's 1 second back. He gained a lot that lap with Jeff Wright stuck behind Reggie Ortega, and he clears Ortega. Now that's his sight on Robert Gaba up the road, but Turner just took a big chunk out of that with about
took out another 10.
40 laps to go, closing in on it. Turner's going to have to turn up the wick here just a bit more.
Honestly, don't even think he would have to. Again, I still expect them to close in just a little bit more.
The only reason I say that is because it seems like it's taking about 10 to 15 laps to actually complete a pass. I think he can get there, no problem. The question is, can he force his way through? No other close battles on the racetrack other than this one for the lead. Now Turner's got to deal with Reggie Ortega. Leader left right off into the distance, and Bailey Turner down into turn 1, closed in 9/10 of a second now.
Yeah, and
it's closing more.
Yeah, you see Turner had a much easier time with Ortega there. Still keeping that gap under a second. There you see Gabo, he's going to get out of the way for Turner. And yeah, just really starting to reel him in just a little bit, piece by piece.
Right, lap times of the line. Jeff Wright, a 21.859. Bailey Turner, a 21.842. It's not a lot, but it's a little, and like you said, just chipping away lap after lap after lap. And now I think Jeff Wright's going to be looking in that mirror, and that 24 is going to be getting larger and larger, and that has to factor into how you drive the racetrack as well. I think it'd be a bad thing if it didn't affect how you drove, if you just let him sneak up on you without thinking. That time through a 21.895 versus a 21.863, advantage 24.
Yeah, really starting to reel him in here. 40 laps to go in the race. And Yeah, honestly, if I said if it was 20 laps ago, it might be a little bit iffy, but I think with 40 laps ago, it's really starting to look in that 24 favor.
This is a fight for position. Alec Martinez and Ben backward. This is for 10th on the
Whoa.
racetrack, and here comes Cabot. 3 wide out of turn 4.
Oh man, almost dooring. Cabot almost doored Ben Baffert. They got separated. Still 3 wide though, as Cabot will sneak his way on 3rd, and Baffert and Martinez almost make contact.
Guys are kind of isolated, about a 3-second gap front and behind for 10th and 11th. They look like they will settle it civilly for now, and the closest battle then jumps back up to the lead. It's 8.5 tenths of a second, a 21.946 to a 21.875. Again, advantage 24.
Turner's also been very lucky. He's been catching these guys, the lap cars, in very good places where they just let them on by.
Yeah, I think the other thing is, I mean, drivers are going to fight you a lot harder, fight the leader a lot harder for that lap. I mean, once you're a lap down, it doesn't matter at that point. You're a lap down, so they're a lot more willing to, I mean, even me, I'm a lot more willing to roll over for a second place car than I am for the leader. As unfair as that might be, it's helping Turner reel him in 7 tenths of a second. We're just watching that gap fall. We're coming in on 35 laps to go in a couple laps here, Finian, and Turner's going to turn up that wick just in time. He's right, dealing with some more lap traffic. This time it's the 14 of Richard Thomas, who's 15th, 1 lap down. Just has not been the 14's night tonight.
Yeah, see also some pretty heavy rear end damage to that 14. Not sure what happened to him.
And
that bumper's been caved in.
Involved in something.
Also, update on the field. Only 7 cars are on the lead lap right now.
I mean, this has just been absolute domination by the 5. He's led a huge portion of laps, and I really honestly feel bad for him if the 24 stole this one away, but I think Turner's been close enough a couple times, or too many times.
Yeah,
he probably deserves this one just as much.
And also, and I'm just saying right now, if Turner doesn't end up getting the win here, I mean, he's going to be close no matter what. But if he doesn't end up getting the win, he's going to imagine if he qualified better, he might have been closer, because once it got spread out, it took him a while to get up there.
Remember what I said at the beginning, or while we were gridding, I said qualifying is important here, and I thought about that. I wasn't really sure how much that statement would come into effect, but it looks like it definitely has tonight. I don't think I was expecting this performance out of the 24. I thought he'd ride around probably 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, if he had started a couple spots further forward, he might already be leading this.
I was like, because he clearly had the pace to at least start up in the top 5, very minimum. So.
All right. So one thing I noticed is the 5 car down in turns 1 and 2 ran a much higher line than he's been running the last couple laps. Look at 3 and 4 as well. He's almost a full lane off the bottom. The 24 is right down on that yellow line. Let's just analyze these different drivers' lines here as they come across the line. As Turner reels him in 7 tenths of a second. Down in turn number 1, where does the 5 go? Now he's going to shoot for the bottom. He's trying things, Vinny, and Turner
yeah, and
also
actually,
at the bottom.
Turner was a little bit slower than Wright last time through.
Off into turn 3. What does Wright try this time? Goes for the bottom again. Turner, same thing. So he's trying to get take away the line of the 24 to keep him from using that to his advantage. And like you just mentioned, he's actually picked up some speed. Turner has been slower the last 2 laps since Jeff Wright started taking his line away here. So it looks like Bailey Turner found a fast line. Jeff Wright saw that in his mirror, took it away, and now he's beginning to stretch that lead back out 8.5 tenths of a second. 30 to go with the line. Yeah,
it looks like Turner's starting to stall out just a little bit here, and we'll keep an eye on them. I'm curious on how Turner's now going to react as Wright's running his line.
All right, 22.083 to a 22.085, almost dead even. But Turner's going to have to be chipping in. Like I said, it takes 10 to 15 laps to really complete a pass, unless you're willing to knock him out of the way. We'll see if that becomes the case, but Turner's going to have to start searching around the racetrack just like Jeff Wright did. But my concern is that the bottom's the place to be, and Jeff Wright's found that, and once the squirrel finds the nut, he's going to run away and take it home. There's a new saying.
Yeah, pretty good one, I'll give you that.
I came up with that right now. You should be real proud.
Yeah, gap's been pretty much stabilized at around 9 tenths a second. Hasn't gone up, hasn't really gone down.
Yeah, it's increased just a little. And actually, last time Wright was quicker by a tenth, so Wright has found something. 22.145 to a 22.064, so advantage back to the 24 that lap. Ooh, 14 got another fence out of turn 10.
Yeah, he's struggling with a tight race car right now. Back in running in 14.
At the line this time, 22.081 to a 22.097. Flip back. They're just trading blows back and forth, but at this point in the race, you got to be going quicker. You can't be trading blows at this stage of the race. But the gap has fallen back down to about 7/8 tenths of a second again. Battle for 5th place, Jeremiah Vincent, Mark Emerson. Like they have done and completed that pass. Dynamite car started at the rear of the night. He's got a bit of front end damage that I'd be curious to see if that matches the rear end damage on the 14, but looks like they have sorted out their issues.
Car trying to catch Ben Baffert up ahead of him, but
oh boy, this is close.
Ooh.
The 2 car is not fighting with any of the cars in this fight except for Lakatos, who's about half a second up the road. The 6 car Butler is a lap ahead of these gentlemen, and he's in 4th.
Actually, good job for Lakatos. I thought that strategy he's going to pull off was going to really hurt him, but he's got a faster car right now because he's one of the last guys to pit just below around Ronis, and he's back up in the 7th place, although a lap down.
I think Lakatos would probably be a lot happier had he not gotten half-turned earlier in the race and lost some all his track position.
Oh, yeah,
it has been so hard to regain it.
I think he honestly would have had a top 5, and speaking of top 5, Jeremiah Vincent currently running in 5th.
Tega looking to the inside of Ronis. This is 4th position. And Turner has lost something, Finian. Slow last time through. 2/10 slower.
Yeah, the gap back to 1.2 seconds now.
I think he's going to need a yellow if he continues losing at this rate. He lost another 10th that time through. 1.3 seconds is the gap. So now he's going to probably spend the rest of the night wishing for something that hasn't happened yet, and that's cautions. 3 lead changes, no cautions, no caution laps.
Yeah, and we expect this to continue to the end here. We got just above, or sorry, coming to 20 laps ago.
And this has almost become a curse on the 24 car, Finian. I mean, it would be funny if it wasn't so sad, but
yeah.
Finishing, he joked last week that he was like Chase Elliott.
Well, he'll definitely be, and this will be his 2nd place finish in this series alone.
Yeah. I mean, even Chase
After
Elliott
7
broke
rounds.
through at one point,
Yeah.
but and it was at a road course. We got Mid-Ohio coming up on the schedule in a little while, so maybe he can turn his luck around there, but right now he's fallen off the pace, and Jeff Wright has just set a fervent pace from the beginning. Adam Cabot's actually the quickest car on the track at the moment. Oh, scratch that. Jeremiah Vincent is. Curious to see what the situation is. It's because Jeremiah Vincent's got newer tires by about 8 laps, but
Actually, fastest one is Casey Lakatos.
oh, interesting. Oh, okay, the previous lap it was 8 car.
Because I'll be surprised if it wasn't Lakatos because he was the last guy, significantly as you can see there, to come in.
Sim TV, 20 laps to go here at Richmond. About 7 minutes remaining in this race. Jeff Wright has led the vast majority of it. Bailey Turner gave him a good run, but it doesn't look like he's going to have the pace unless something changes here. And Turner is now, I wonder if he's trying the same lines that he was trying before, but he's right down against the bottom of the racetrack. He hasn't deviated from that. I wonder if he should have just searched around a little bit. You're not going to catch him doing this. I mean, he's got a 2-second gap back to Cabot. I know Cabot might be closing, but I would be willing to try something a little bit, something else, just to see if you can gain it. If you can't, drop back to the bottom, do what you're doing, but Jeff Wright has also found speed up towards the front and continues to stretch that lead.
And looking out ahead of him, not too much lap traffic, really only, I believe, a 75 and another car, white car up there. I can't tell who that is.
17 laps to go at Richmond, Virginia, and Bailey Turner is now 1.5 back. Closest battle on the racetrack right now is Angelo Ronis and Ben Baffert. This is for 9th.
Looking at it, looks like Ben Baffert's got a faster car than Ronis. Significantly so, yeah. Ronis is way off pace. Ran 4/10 slower last time through.
And only a lap separated on the tires.
I think Ronis is just struggling right now.
Baffert right against that. I think we've seen that yellow line, Finian, is the place to be late in this going, and if you try to deviate, it's not working too well, but I'm surprised that we haven't seen someone try it way up the racetrack, and I guess that Ronis goes for it there. Work out. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Baffert takes the spot, moves himself into 9th, Ronis back to 10th.
I mean, maybe if this was a longer race, that might we might see that happen. But I think this grooves right now, that inside groove's just rubbered up enough where it's faster, the fastest line on the track, and it's not going to get oversaturated with rubber to really kind of make these guys go elsewhere.
Or get too hot again. It's a pretty cool night here. Oh, 23 hard in the fence out of turn 2. He knocked the right side of that car in the wall.
Yeah, he did a very awkward place there. You can see that right front fender exposed.
Oh, let's get one more look at that here.
I think I actually hooked the end of the safer barrier and that forced the car into the concrete.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Just smashed into it. That was a big hit there. 13 laps to go, and the gap is now 1.1 between Wright and Turner. So Turner's found some more pace, but I think it's too little too late at this point. Alec Martinez has had an awful night. He's 20 laps down.
Yeah, not sure when he came in and stopped or something, but yeah, he's way behind. And you'll get around Bruce Boyer, who's off the track. He'll get 16th, but yeah, unfortunate for him because he looked like he had a decent car in that 18.
And we haven't had any cautions tonight. We have had some damage and some incidents, but the closest we got to a yellow was way at the beginning of the race with the 8 and the 50, and since then haven't caught or haven't seen any major contact between competitors. 11 to go, 1.2 seconds between Wright and Turner. Closest battle on the track is Baffert and Ronis. Here's to see if any of these guys that are driving harder are using up their brakes more. So let's do a little analysis here of the inside the brakes. Anybody overheating them? Look like drivers are using a ton of brake at the moment. Oh, the 11 car's got them roasting and toasting inside the wheel well. Trejo is the only one I've seen so far that has really hot rotors. But if you have less than 10 laps to go, let's look through and see if anybody else is really burning out that equipment.
Let's put our leaders, though. I'm just kind of curious if there's any difference between them. I kind of doubt it because they're running very similar lines.
Nothing on the 5, nothing on the 24, both being very conservative. Cabot in the 77, nothing there either. You guys are all being very generous for braking tonight, not... In the past, we've seen rotors get really hot here, but tonight everyone pretty much conserving their equipment other than the 11 at Trejo, who has, I believe he has some damage on that car, which might... Oh, he's actually looking pretty spick and span. Different driving styles. 7 laps to go. Jeff Wright still leading to 1.3 seconds, and domination is a word they use here tonight. It's kind of rare that we see someone lead a race this commandingly, but Bailey Turner gave him a run for his money in about the 3/4 distance of this race, but hasn't been able to reel him in, and not sure why that is.
Yeah, he just kind of stalled out, and I think, not necessarily that Wright held back, but I did think that Turner, being able to drive through everyone and keep that gap at around 3 seconds that first run, I thought he would have had something for right here at the end, but yeah, Wright's been doing a great job being able to manage that gap at just about a second, and hasn't really gone down much since.
5 laps to go here in Richmond, Virginia. Been a caution-free night here in the Virtual Racing League, round number 7. Where do we go next week, Vinian?
Jacob.
Oh boy. But from one of the shortest tracks in the schedule to the longest, at least in terms of the oval stuff, we go restrictor plate racing next week, and that's always a kind of a toss-up in the air. I mean, that's where Turner ends his bad luck, but with 4 to go, looks like it's going to be more of the same for the 24, and this is going to be great for him in the point standings. Here's a look at as they were prior to the race. Looks like a couple drivers are going to have a good night here. Angelo Ronis in 13th in the standings, running 11th right now. It should be a decent night for him. Hinton's going to drop down because he's not here tonight. Adam Cabot's going to have a big jump in the standings, at least he should, at least amongst these next couple of guys. So this rotates back around to show your leaders here, Finian. Look at Jeff Wright, 20th in the standings. I don't think he's running for the points, so it's just going to be here for victory tonight. Thomas, a new entry, been gaining a bunch of spots lately. 2 laps to go for leader Jeff Wright. And there is your points lead. Bailey Turner, 18 points in front of Butler. That gap is going to expand tonight. Hutton's going to drop down as he's running race control tonight, but Ortega's going to drop down. Gaba should actually stay probably where he is. Martinez might lose a couple spots here.
Yeah, and out of the final corner, white flag in the air for Jeff Wright as he comes across the line. And again, what a fantastic performance from him tonight. He's done pretty much everything perfectly other than hitting the right side of that car on the wall. But other than that, perfect race for the 5. 1
minor lapse in focus over the course of 135 laps is not too shabby indeed. Richmond, Virginia, famous racetrack. And tonight it's going to be the host of Jeff Wright's first victory in the Virtual Racing League in 2019. Jeff Wright goes to victory lane in Richmond.
Yeah, and to the dismay of Bailey Turner, who'll get his 4th second-place finish for VRL this season.
Cabot
and Cabot comes
across the line.
spinning across the line. For him, he'll take 3rd. Elliot Butler in 4th, and Jeremiah Vincent in 5th, rounding out your top 5.
And fireworks here at the conclusion of the race at Richmond. But what a dominant performance. Not even close tonight. It looked like it was going to be close, but he found another gear and just continued to dominate. Won this race by over a second. And I think teeth are probably cleaner than the right side of the car, but Pressed Chevrolet Camaro is going to go to victory lane, and he'll enjoy his burnouts here, Finian. And another victory he has this season was the Outsider Racing League round number 2 from Sonoma, California. And there's Casey Lakatos, number 50, joining him at the start-finish line. And cool burnouts here, it looks like, Finian. Celebrations for 5. Race over here at Richmond, Virginia. Here's a look at your race results. Jeff Wright, Turner, Cabot, Butler, Jeremiah Vincent, your top 5. Casey Lakatos rebounded from that early half spin up to 7th place. Ortega ekes out a top 10, and Mark Carr, who started at the back, also makes his way in there. Angelo Ronas in 11th, Eddie Trejo 12th. Brian Chambliss, not a great night for him. Alec Martinez, just an abysmal evening. Never really got further up than 8th or 9th, and ended up getting crash damage heading to pit road for 20 laps. Boyer, William Troy, all retiring early. We're going to jump to break real quick. We'll be right back with interviews. Stay with us. Back live to Sim TV here at Richmond, round number 7 of 2019, here with Jeremiah Vincent, who finished 5th tonight in the number 8 Wrangler Chevrolet Camaro. Jeremiah, a good result for you, but there was some contact early in the race. Wanted to talk to you and see what happened there.
Yeah, saw some slow up, and I went down low. My car got really tight and shoved up the track. That was completely my fault. Got into the side of Casey. Felt bad about that. That kind of sealed the deal, sticking me back there from there on out. So tried a different strategy. Try to get up front, but not enough time.
How did the race change throughout the night? I think we're looking at the rubber right now, and it seems like the track really rubbered in, and the bottom was the place to be. I thought we'd see the high line come in a bit, but looked like you guys were bottom feeding out there. What did it feel like inside the cockpit?
I know early on when we didn't really have rubber down on the track, you could, like I said, you can run a little bit up high and stuff. It was kind of snug. For me, I like a loose race car. Once the rubber got built in down low, it was really loose down there. I could just hook the bottom and go. That seemed to be the fastest at that time.
All right, well, Jeremiah Vincent, 5th place tonight. Congratulations, buddy. We'll see you next week at Talladega.
Thank you. Good job.
All right, next we're going to talk to 4th place finisher Elliott Butler, who is our in-race reporter tonight. We didn't get a chance to talk to him because there were no yellow flags, but Elliott, 4th place tonight. Hard fought there for a while, but a couple spots too far back to get the win. What was it like out there tonight?
Oh, well, it was just battling the handling of the car most of the night. Had some speed, especially early in the race. The car kind of loosened up on the second run a little bit, it seemed like. But just kind of battling the balance and not pissing the tires off all race, kind of managing your stuff. I kind of wish I could have done a little better, but Jeff and Bailey really had it figured out.
Talk to me. I asked Jeremiah about the same question, but I'm curious about your perspective. What is the reason why the high line didn't come in tonight? I think we saw a lot of drivers bottom feeding, and we never really got rubber anywhere other than that bottom lane. So do you feel like the high line should have come in more, or what was the situation there?
That's a good question. I think we just had a little too much grip with it being really tight in the center still. If you drove in hard on the high line, it was like you just lost too much time on entry and center to make it up on exit.
Well, Elliot Butler, 4th place tonight for the number 6. Thanks for talking to us. We'll see you in a couple weeks at Talladega.
All right, thanks. See you next in a couple weeks.
All right, let's talk to 3rd place Adam Cabot. He's finally showed up here at the broadcast booth. And, oh, that's you, Finian. I need Adam. Hey, Adam Cabot finished 3rd tonight in the number 77. Kind of a hard-fought battle up there. It was pretty close amongst those top 5. But just walk us through tonight's race and how you got yourself on the podium yet again.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was cool to see it go green all the way to the end. First stint, until the first pit stop, I was overdriving it. I decided to, after the first or only pit stop, to just save tires for a bit. Then I started, I definitely was catching Bailey. I probably was catching Jeff too with about 20 or 30 to go. And I got excited and started overdriving again. And the consensus is with this set, if you overdrove for just 1 or 2 laps and pissed off the tires, it was like there was no coming back from that. And that's exactly what I did. I was reeling them in, and I just started getting sideways. And even when I tried to back myself back down and calm myself down and hit my marks, it was like after that my tires were shot and I couldn't do anything. I was just all over the place. But congrats to Jeff. Hopefully that makes up for the Richmond Cup race that he totally 100% should have won, and I stole from him on a late restart. So hopefully that makes up for that race for him. And yeah, cool to get another podium. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
All right, I'm 3rd place for the 77. We'll see you at Talladega in a couple weeks. Good job.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, let's talk to 2nd place Bailey Turner here. And I know he's getting really upset with being associated with 2nd place, but Bailey, looked like you had a run going for you in about the 7 or the 3/4 point of that race, but just not enough speed to catch the 5. What'd you need to go out there and get him?
Yeah, that qualifying effort definitely hurt me. I feel like if I would have qualified up front, I probably would have been racing up there with him the entire race. But screw that up, and then just playing catch up the entire race. And that last run, the car kind of felt like it took a swing. It was tight the whole first run, and then that last run when we got fresh tires, the car was just really loose. But I didn't affect the way I was driving it. But as soon as I started to reel them in, it was like, I think what Adam was saying, it was like I overdrove one corner, and then it would take me 2 or 3 laps to get back in the rhythm because the tires were pissed off. So
I'd stop you there. I think you're the 3rd person in a row to say that you pissed the tires off in that exact language. So I don't know if everyone's been talking the same way tonight, but that's kind of funny. But Bailey, I mean, 2nd place, it can't be disappointing though. I mean, the points lead is going to be continued to extend, and you got a pretty decent cushion heading into Talladega. So is that a positive walking away from tonight?
yeah, especially with Talladega being an unknown, you never know with that track. And yeah, the points lead, it is what it is. I just want to get that win. It sounds greedy, but Richmond was honestly my favorite track, and I was hoping to get the win in BRL and ORL, and couldn't pull it off. So now I'm just gonna try to do the same thing, maintain that points lead, and see if I get lucky at Talladega.
All right, Bailey Turner, 2nd place again tonight. Thanks for talking to us, Bailey. We'll see you at Talladega.
Thank you.
And now we got to go get Jeff Wright because he's been doing burnouts for about 20 minutes. 5 of Jeff Wright winner here tonight. Jeff, I hate to tell you this, but we're going to have to take your win away if you keep going backwards. I mean, you're undoing the 135 laps you just did going backwards. So the race is the other direction there, buddy, but it's cool to see you celebrate for so long. I know you're thrilled inside that cockpit. A great race tonight, a dominating event. What makes you so good around here?
I don't know. I really like short tracks, and Richmond, I think, just fits my driving style or something, because every time I come here, I mean, when I don't think I'm going to be very competitive, when I first practiced the setup when we had the 30 minutes before the race, if you told me I was going to win this race, I would have been thrilled because I didn't think I had any chance at it, and found myself able to sit on pole. Kind of surprised myself. And after the 10 laps, I kind of got used to the way this setup drove, because honestly, I don't drive the Class B cars very often. And so after that 10-lap mark, I was kind of able to get my groove. I did hit the wall, damaged the car a little bit, and made me kind of get worried Bailey was going to run me down. But yeah, I just love short tracks, and Richmond's one of them. I feel like I could have been in victory lane in the Cup Series and overshot the box a little bit. So I'm happy I didn't do that tonight, and just happy to be in victory lane here at Richmond.
All right, well, we're not going to let you stop doing burnouts. I think that's a new record here on SimTV for the longest continuous burnouts. We'll let you get back to celebrating, Jeff, but congrats on a fantastic victory. We'll see you at Talladega in a couple weeks.
All right, thanks, Kyle.
Do it for interviews here tonight on SimTV, but let's take another look at the race results here this evening. Wright, Turner, Cabot, Butler, Jeremiah Vincent, Xfinity, pretty standard, straightforward, but surprised at Martinez's performance. Chambliss didn't have a great night either, and I know William Troy, Bruce Boyer both had rough nights, but Cabot, Turner, Butler, Vincent, Wright, turning it up each and every week they find themselves on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's been some great back and forth between a lot of these drivers this season, a lot of different winners. Unfortunately, one of them is not the 24 Bailey turn. I mean, I really feel for him at this point.
It's almost, if it wasn't so sad, it would be funny.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate for him. Again, four top twos in 7 starts. That's insane. So, I mean, sorry, 4 second place finishes in 7 starts. So, hopefully, he has some better luck at Talladega, which is we're gonna have 2 off weeks, and then we're gonna be racing at Talladega.
I misspoke earlier, but here's what we do have coming up the next couple days, and it's a fun couple of days. Tomorrow night we go road course racing with the Outsider Racing League at the Indianapolis Road Course, and I can tell you from testing it, that is going to be an interesting one, to say the least. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m. for that race at the Indy Road Course, Grand Prix circuit. Then on Sunday night, more road course racing and stock cars. The Yinzer Truck Series for the 3-Wide Racing League races Watkins Glen, our home track here in upstate New York. They'll be there on Sunday, 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Monday night, it'll be Phoenix, the old Phoenix, for the 3-Wide Race Kings Cup Series. Then Tuesday, for the Fuel Host Venom Fuel Finals, it's going to be Charlotte Roval. So we got a bunch of road course races coming up this week. It's going to be a fun week of racing.
Yeah, a lot of stock cars on road courses.
Which is my favorite combination. So that's what's coming up the next couple weeks. We'll see you tomorrow night at 10 p.m. for ORL at Indy. Have a good night.